What's going on, Bucs fans? You're watching Bucs Breakdown presented by PrizePicks. My name is Reed Barkus. Wherever you're watching, whenever you're watching, hope you're having a great day today. We're going to be talking about some good news for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and some bad news regarding the schedule. Obviously, the schedule came out a couple weeks ago. Now we see who we're playing. CBS Sports came out with a little bit about some good news on the schedule and some bad news. So that's what we're going to be talking about on today's show. But before we do that, it's Friday. Let's have some fun. Some Bucs trivia. Who did Brady throw the Lombardi trophy to during the 2020 Super Bowl boat parade? Obviously, we were very worried when he tossed that into the other boat. Who did catch the Lombardi trophy in that other boat? Let me know down in the comments section. The answer will be at the end of the video. No cheating. Let's have some fun on today's Friday edition of Bucs Breakdown. All right, let's talk about what CBS Sports had to say on some good Bucs schedule news. The Bucs will definitely have a chance to get off to a hot start with their first 3 games coming against the Bengals, Browns, and Vikings. In Week 1, they'll face a Bengals team that's just 2-5 in season openers under Zac Taylor. In Week 2, they'll get a Browns team that will have a new head coach and possibly a new quarterback. And in Week 3, they'll be facing a Vikings team that will likely have a new starting quarterback. That makes all 3 of those games winnable. And if Tampa can somehow start 3-0, they'll be feeling really good about their chances of making the playoffs. Now, let's get a little refresher of the Buccaneers' 2026 schedule. Obviously, first 3 weeks they talked about against the Bengals, Browns, Vikings, and then tough opponent against the Packers. Thursday Night Football against the Cowboys. Moving on to the rest of the schedule. I mean, Week 9 against the Bears, Sunday Night Football, that's obviously going to be pretty tough. And then another prime time against the Panthers, a divisional opponent. That's going to be interesting as well. And this is more of just a refresher. You guys have seen the 2026 schedule a bunch of times on today's show, and probably as a fan just wanting to know who you're playing in the 2026 season. So the Week 1 matchup, let's take a little bit of a closer look in terms of who we're going up against in the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, I know the Cincinnati Bengals the last couple of years, they've not been a joke, but they've never really been back to that 2021 season where they were just Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase were unstoppable getting them to the Super Bowl. I think they're going to be closer to that team rather than they were last year, only because Joe Burrow is a fantastic quarterback, and he's going to be a very, very tough matchup for us in Week 1 because Week 1, we're going to get a healthy Joe Burrow. Usually, Joe Burrow has this thing of, he'll get injured in the middle of the season, and then, Jake Browning usually has to go. Now we have Jake Browning. So if he's healthy, we all know he is a top 4, top 5 quarterback in the NFL. So if he's healthy, that's going to be a very, very tough matchup for this defense, who is kind of new and old and young at the same time. A lot of new additions. But if we look back at Week 1 games for the Cincinnati Bengals, CBS Sports talked about it. A narrow win against a really bad Browns team. And then against the Patriots, this is Drake May starting off. This is when they weren't very good. And then 2023, a not good Browns team they lost to. And then a Steelers team they lost to in overtime. And then a Vikings team they beat. Or these might have been, yeah. And then a Vikings team they beat by 3 points. Yes, they won 2 games, but this is a barely win. This is a barely win as well. So I don't think losing to the Bengals is going to be detrimental, but I think starting off on a good foot against a team that is not really good in Week 1 games is extremely important for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And if you start off 1-0 against a good Bengals team, that's a really good start going into those next 2 games. And we're going to talk a little bit more about getting a closer look into this good and bad news for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But I couldn't do this show without our proud sponsor. You guys know them. I've talked about them all the time on this show. That is PrizePicks. Today's show is presented by PrizePicks. Shout out to PrizePicks for being America's #1 sports picks app, as well as mine. I've been using it since 2022, so that should tell you it's a very fantastic app. The playoffs are going crazy for basketball right now, but they are closing soon, so I don't want you guys to miss out on a chance to win some money. It's super simple to use. Just pick more or less on a few player stats and lock in your lineup. I have a season-long PrizePicks lineup for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I've showed this before. If you're like, I'm more of a football guy, I'm not trying to do any basketball or hockey or anything like that, by all means, they have an option to do a season-long PrizePicks where you do Baker Mayfield, the more on his passing yards, Emeka Buka, the more on his receiving yards, because I think these two are going to be a great tandem, and then Bijan Robinson, the less on his receiving yards. Atlanta is going to stink this year. So if you want to get started with PrizePicks, we got a new user offer. Download the PrizePicks app today with the link in the comments and description and use code HMA. You'll get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. One more time, that's code HMA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it is good to be right. Now, moving on to the second game that CBS was talking about, which is the Cleveland Browns game. And guys, if we lose this game, I think we just call it quits. I think we just sign the season off. We're lost. Fire Todd Bowles. Fire everybody. Let's draft some new players, because I don't care what you're talking about with the Bears and the Bucs. Like, they will never be as bad as the Browns. And if you lose this game, it's going to be embarrassing, because they don't even know who their starting quarterback is right now. And Shadur Sanders, he's slotted in right now as QB2. Deshaun Watson's QB1. He didn't play last year, and he sucked before that. Like, I think people are forgetting how bad Deshaun Watson was before he got injured. And then Shadur Sanders, he had a good year last year, but a terrible, like, this, respectfully, the Browns are still the Browns. I mean, respectfully, like, to any Browns fans out there watching this video right now, we do have a Browns channel. You should go check them out. I don't know why you're watching me, but they stink, and they will stink for a little bit more, because Deshaun Watson, what? Are you kidding? I mean, he's on the roster, and you have to pay him, so you're probably going to have to start him. But, like, our Browns host is like, it's looking more and more each day. He's getting reps as the #1 quarterback. It's looking like he's going to be the starting quarterback. So you got Deshaun Watson, starting quarterback, and a confused Browns team. If we lose this game, I would be very, very upset. All right, moving on to week 3. We're talking about the Minnesota Vikings, which also the question is, who's going to be their starting quarterback? So CBS Sports hit the nail on the head in terms of you could go 3-0 pretty easily if you just don't mess up. And we know the Bucs are not fantastic at not messing up. But if you look back to 2025, J.J. McCarthy, their rookie quarterback from Michigan, I mean, not even 60% completion percentage in 10 games, 1,600 yards, 12 interceptions to 11 touchdowns. I mean, he stunk last year. Whether it be injured, and I'm doing quotes of injured, or he just got nicely benched. Kyler Murray, at the same time, he was not doing terribly until he got his foot injury, but they don't know who their starting quarterback is. But it's still a little worrisome because of the weapons that they have in their wide receiver depth chart. I mean, we know Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and then they add a guy like Jawan Jennings, where they have some playmakers back there. And honestly, we know Justin Jefferson, doesn't matter who the quarterback is, he's going to have a great year no matter what. So surpassed over 1,000 yards last season on 84 receptions. I mean, 2 touchdowns. The guy is unstoppable, and it doesn't matter who's throwing the ball. So whether it be Kyler Murray, J.J. McCarthy, Zion McCollum on Justin Jefferson worries me a lot. I think that's a matchup that we really have to look at, because Justin Jefferson was catching balls from J.J. McCarthy last year, as well as Carson Wentz. Like, you can kind of throw anybody out there, and he's going to be a problem. So that's the only thing I'm worried about in terms of their matchup problems, because Zion McCollum is our CB1, and he's going to be on Justin Jefferson. And Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough. And producer Xavier, you can do Yaya Diaby first and then go to Ruben Bain after that. Because when we're talking about the defense, these two need to get to the quarterback. That is Yaya Diaby and our brand new edge rusher, Ruben Bain Jr. If we're going to have any process of helping Zion McCollum in the secondary as a whole, Ruben Bain and Yaya Diaby are going to have to get to whoever is the starting quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings. So that's what needs to happen to be able to go 3-0, because if the Bucs can get to 3-0, you will set yourself up very, very nicely heading into a tough couple games versus the Green Bay Packers and Thursday Night Football versus the Dallas Cowboys. So if you can go 3-0, that would be extremely huge, because our rivals here, they have the second easiest schedule. This is the New Orleans Saints. They have the second easiest schedule according to Warren Sharp. So they go Lions, Ravens, Raiders, Falcons, and they face the Vikings in their first 5 games. So division rival has a very easy schedule as well. You need to go 3-0 to help yourself a little bit in the middle of the season, because the middle stretch of our schedule is a bit tough, and then the end as well, going against division opponents towards the end of the schedule. So we need to get on our high horse and go 3-0 in those first 3 games. But be honest with me, looking at the Saints' first 5 games, you tell me, predict the Bucs record after the first 5 games of the season, because it's a little tough after those 3 games. But when you talk about the first 5 games, if you can go at least 3-2, 4-1, that's a very, very reasonable option. You go 4-1, that's a great start to the season. Now, we had a great start to today's video, and if you want to get a great start on trying to go to any of these Tampa Bay games, please use our friends over at SeatGeek. Use code CHAT10 for 10% off tickets on SeatGeek. Please, if you're trying to go to any of these games, SeatGeek is the way to go. If you're trying to get to any Bucs games, concerts, or any baseball games, use code CHAT10 to get 10% off your next set of tickets. MLB is in full swing. NBA and NHL playoffs are going crazy right now. So if you're trying to go to any of these Bucs games as well, I'm not going to be able to go to any of these games because I'm going to be here in Dallas, Texas, giving you guys the best content here in the studio. But if you're trying to go to any of the Bucs games during the season, SeatGeek has you covered. You can see where you're going to sit. It's a great way to watch the game. Now, of course, I have a code for you. If you want to use code CHAT10, you'll get 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets. If you're trying to go to a Noah Khan concert or anything like that, make sure you go and get a ticket at SeatGeek. The green dots, they mean good. Red means bad. So make sure to look out for those deals and just click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you very much to our friends at SeatGeek. All right, so the Week 4 matchup that we were talking about with the Green Bay Packers. It's a tough one. Their defense is very, very good. Micah Parsons will be coming back, and I think the Packers are going to be a lot better than last year. So that's going to be a tough matchup, and that's sort of what I was saying before. That might be a loss. And then you go to AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas to face against the Dallas Cowboys in Thursday Night Football. I think this is a winnable game, guys. I think just because it's prime time doesn't mean that the Bucs are going to lose, because I know we have trouble in prime time games sometimes. But this is a winnable game. I don't think the Dallas Cowboys, I'm sorry, producer Xavier, I don't think they're going to be as good as we think they are every year, because apparently it's their year every year. But I think this is a winnable game. So, even though you win those first 3 games, hey, maybe the Dallas Cowboys get the best of you and they're on their game that night. You go 3-2 to start the season. I don't think that's too half bad. But let's talk about what CBS Sports had to say about bad schedule news. So, that was sort of a foreshadowing into a tough stretch after the Green Bay Packers and the Dallas Cowboys. So the Bucs better get off to a hot start because things get a lot tougher in Week 4. The Bucs face the Packers at home that week, but then they have to follow up with a Thursday night game in Dallas. As if that's not that bad, they have the Steelers, Panthers, Falcons, and Bears after that. They're just 2-5 in their past 7 against the Falcons. We know that very well. And the other 3 teams on the list all made the playoffs last year. If the Bucs can get to their Week 10 bye with a winning record, that would certainly be a moral victory. And I could not agree more. Now, they talked about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, Aaron Rodgers is back for his last year. He said it. He's retiring after this year. This D-line and these edge rushers are going to make his life hell. And our producer, Xavier, he produces for our Steelers channel, and he's nodding his head right now. If this defensive line is on its game that night, he's going to be running for the hills. And with our bolstered interior defensive line and our edge rushers with Ruben Bain and Yaya Diaby, as long as you can get to Aaron Rodgers, this defense is going to be a lot better, and I don't think they're going to be able to pass as well as Aaron Rodgers used to be able to, because he is 42 years old, guys. Let's be real. If you get to him, their offense, I don't think the run game is going to help that much either. The only guy I'm worried about in terms of the Pittsburgh Steelers is this guy right here, TJ Watt. He's going to be a problem for our tackles and our offensive line just in general, because you can put TJ Watt wherever you want. So you slow him down, you have a very good chance of beating the Pittsburgh Steelers. And when it comes to the Carolina Panthers, our Week 7 matchup, made the playoffs last year. That's what he said, right? Made the playoffs. Come on, guys. They squeaked through. I'm not worried about the Panthers. So made the playoffs. Come on, CBS. And then you talk about the Atlanta Falcons. Yes, they have our number, but are you kidding? I mean, they always have our number, and I hate the fact that, Tua and MPJ, who are they going to start? There's a chance that either one of them could start, but you slow this guy down. Slow this guy down and make MPJ or Tua, whoever they want to start out there, make them beat you. And I think this year we're going to have their number, because they're not going to be able to pass on us with the 2 guys that they have trotting out that back there. Now, moving on to a very, very tough matchup, and one that I think we're going to lose, and that is the Sunday Night Football against the Chicago Bears, because year 3, Caleb, he might be a problem. He might be a problem for the NFL, because he looked very, very good last year with this Ben Johnson offense. Another year with him and Ben Johnson, and another year with all of these playmakers now, Roma Dunze, Colson Loveland, Luther Burden, DeAndre Swift, Cole Kmet. I just don't think we match up very well against the Chicago Bears, and I think they're going to pass all over us. DeAndre Swift might have, over 100 yards that year, or that game. I'm just trying to be real. The Bears are going to be a lot better than they were last year, and Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson, they might have our number. Now, my final thoughts on this: if the Bucs go at least 5-4 heading into Week 10, then I'm okay with that, right? I'll feel a lot better about the rest of the season if you at least get to 5-4. I think we could even go 6-3. But if you get to that Week 10 bye with a winning record, it'll help a little bit in terms of that rest of the season, because we're in a let's be real. We're in a very easy division in the NFC South. And yes, teams are getting better, but it is still anyone's game. And I think our only competition right now is going to be the New Orleans Saints, and that's not saying a lot. So you need to start off with a winning record. Even if it's 5-4, I think we'll be all right. Now, last chance. Who did Tom Brady throw the Lombardi trophy to in the 2020 Super Bowl boat parade? Sorry, excuse me, guys. Don't look it up. You got last chance before we end today's video. Who threw the trophy into the boat? Who caught it? Who's the actual one that caught it? It is none other than former Bucs tight end Cameron Brate. Now, I asked our guy Jeremy Chuggs here, who I've been working with a lot. I said, I was working on today's show, and I said, I had trivia, and he was like, oh, let me guess. And he goes, was it Gronk? And I was like, no. He was like, oh, it was Mike Evans. I was like, no. I was like, Chris Godwin. I was like, no. They were all on the boat right next to him. But it was Cameron Brate who actually caught the Lombardi Trophy. And he had I think he had like 3 catches for like 26 yards in that Super Bowl win against the Chiefs. So shout out to Cameron Brate for catching and not ruining a very fantastic Lombardi Trophy that we won in 2020. All right, that is all I have for you on today's show. A little bit longer of a video, but thank you so much for sticking to the end. And if you are watching to the end right now, yes, you are a real one and you like the content. That means you should hit that sub button, youtube.com/Bucs now. Thank you so much for watching today's show. Man, I really hope we go 5-4 before the bye. All right, as always, fire the cannons.